Uncle Dan?
What? Yes.
Sometimes I think, despite being atheist,
What?
I think that there is something that binds us all together.
I'm still processing this whole atheist thing.
And it's not just sinew and tendon.
Okay.
Something that binds us all together across time and space.
Football. That's right.
Welcome to Super Bowl
We're doing
Sunday.
the Super Bowl Sunday edition.
American football. or maybe it's something in our blood.
Oh God.
There seems to be some disagreement about this.
You know what? How dare you even mention that in the context of this?
Doug, what's your opinion here?
Well, since I covered the Klingon religion back in episode 36, I thought I would take on another sci-fi religion.
Equal time.
Equal time, that's right.
They demand equal
We're
time.
mandated.
Okay, nerds, we heard you.
And as Uncle Mark really bummed us the fuck out last week, I wanted to research something that didn't make me want to crawl under a rock.
Oh.
So today we're going to talk about Jediism.
Oh.
Yeah,
A real religion it is.
that's exactly right.
Good Lord.
I don't think we can actually include that in the podcast without getting sued.
We can.
Can you do the Frank Oz voice?
I think so.
Okay.
He doesn't own it's satire.
Oh,
it's
he's
a
dead.
parody.
He's dead anyway.
He is?
Frank Oz?
No.
Oh, no.
Jim Henson.
Oh, Jesus. Jim
Oh,
Henson's
good
dead.
Lord.
Jesus is also dead.
Thank God we've gone down this road.
Well, that's what Frank Oz killed him. That's what it was. Okay, proceed, Doug. Because he was the better swordsman. He was the better.
That's right. So Jediism as a nominal religious movement first burst onto the scene in 2001 when the semi-new World Wide Web enabled Star Wars fans around the world to communicate with each other. This led to one of the world's first viral kind of global moments when hundreds of thousands of people put Jedi as their religion in the 2001 census.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
This included some 70,000 in Australia, 21,000 in Canada, 52,000 in New Zealand, and over 400,000 in the UK.
Wow.
There were much smaller populations in Croatia, the Czech Republic, and even Turkey that put Jedi down as their religion. But yeah, in the UK, it was the fourth largest religious group. It superseded Hinduism, Scientology, Mormonism.
Really?
Really?
More than Hinduism?
Yeah. It was. I believe it was Islam, Catholic, Christianity, and it might have been Hinduism that beat him out.
Wow.
But it was right there. So anyway,
Wow.
just to go back a little bit and talk about where this comes from, because it's interesting in the context of our podcast to talk about a religion whose origins we can trace all the way back to the 1970s.
Yeah.
The term was made up by George Lucas and is either derived from the Japanese term, forgive me, jidegeki, which refers to samurai period dramas, or from Edgar Rice Burroughs' Barsoom series, in which Jed means king and Jedak means emperor. So Lucas and Lucas has claimed that sci-fi series was a big inspiration for the Star Wars, origin universe. So,
Doug, don't worry about Japanese racism at this point. If any of our listeners heard Uncle Dan and I on Gamcast this past week,
they're done. They're gone.
We have used up all the Japanese racism possible. So
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good. Well,
You're safe.
I feel liberated.
We've used up the strategic reserve.
That's right. So the actual origin's a little bit mysterious, but George Lucas did make it up. And as we all know, the original Star Wars was released in 1977, with the two follow-up films, The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi, which were released in 80 and 83, respectively. Then nothing. That was it. Well,
And if only it had stayed that way.
exactly. After that, we were left with nothing except, of course, the Ewok Adventure and Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, but that was pretty thin gruel.
Oh, no. There was something else in there.
Well, it was a little earlier.
Okay.
And we'll talk about
Okay.
that.
For true fans.
There is a dark mark darker than Jar Jar Binks lurking in the body of the Star Wars universe. So fans of the franchise had to settle for playing with Star Wars figures until they got bored and dropped them off their roofs into buckets of water, causing their heads to break off.
Oh, I
fairly
hate when that happens.
Fairly specific example, but that's what I did. And that was it. There were no more movies. Then in 1999, in an all-too-apt allegory of God becoming angry at the world he'd created and deciding to destroy it utterly,
Yes.
George Lucas released Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So I myself had to confront my own personal wall of fire as I sat in the Man Chinese Theater for the midnight showing of
What?
that for real.
You went out to Los
I
Angeles
drove to Los Angeles
for this event
to see this movie.
Shut your mouth.
A friend of ours got us tickets to that showing, and I don't know why.
Did you stand in line? In the whole...
Yeah, with all the people dressed as Darth Vader and.
Which of the cool new princess outfits did you wear?
Oh no, I was Jar Jar Binks all the way.
Okay.
You had never heard of Jar Jar Binks yet. You were in a. It was a simpler, better time.
Innocent. Yeah, so I had to sit through that botched colonoscopy of a movie, and I did not pass the test. I lost my faith.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in that, and I'm of the generation where the first Star Wars was a fucking supernova.
Oh, yeah.
Of color and excitement, and nothing like it had ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was, religion. That was as close as I felt to a religious experience. So when I sat in the Phantom Menace and I had that smile on my face,
It's okay.
like your whole face is smiling, and then your eyes stop smiling, but your mouth is still smiling, and you're kind of looking around the room like, this is good, right?
You guys seeing what I'm seeing?
Okay, well, there's the weird kid, but it's okay.
It's gonna be okay.
And
It's okay.
there's the Jamaican guy. That's strange.
A little weird.
That kid. Do you remember that they publicized heavily the international years-long search to find the right kid to play Anakin Skywalker, and then that's what they found.
Yeah, poor actors had a rough go.
Yeah, he's had a
since
super rough go since then. Poor
He
guy.
shouldn't have sucked.
then. So,
Take that, 7-year-olds everywhere.
it comes as a bit of a surprise to me that so many people would self-identify as Jedi in the immediate wake of the introduction of Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
But then again, I once believed in prehistoric wooden submarines, so who am I to judge?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point.
The current slate of Jedi sects are predictably predominantly male, white, and English-speaking.
Shocking.
Although,
Wait, what?
I know, hold the phones. There are devotees.
But that's not how the
all over
Jedis
world.
were in the movies. Oh, yes, they were.
Oh, yes, sir.
Exactly.
There's like the one black dude and the one lady that had things coming out of the top of her head.
Jediism is as much like atheism.
Exactly. Exactly. And we'll talk a little bit about
It's a
that.
bunch of pissed off white dudes who want to fight.
It's basically it's by and large, there's no way to know, but it seems very clear that this movement is pioneered and pushed by atheists. So many of the sects are dedicated to meditation and discussion, and do not engage in lightsaber battles or fight training. However, some sects absolutely do engage in lightsaber battles.
I just took a drink of water when you said that. I nearly hosed Dan down.
There are sects that absolutely engage in lightsaber battles, which range from barely better than the Star Wars kid to absolutely incredible choreography. There are some that I watch and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Although I gotta say, hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster, if you ask me.
I don't believe in luck. Okay, for most of the sects, converting or joining is mostly registering at their website. In fact, the Jedi religion exists mostly online, which is really interesting, because if there's anything out there that is, a good comparison to the Force, it's the internet. It's all around us, and it's definitely either light or very dark.
Right.
When I tried to, and it's also totally decentralized. There's no clergy. There's no official hierarchy. I went to register at the Temple of the Jedi Order website, and unfortunately it told me that usernames containing Master, Darth, Lord, or titles will be deleted. So, since I couldn't be called Darth Hungus, I didn't register.
You couldn't be Obi... Oh, never mind. I didn't have it. I was diving in without a... I tried to fly without
I
a...
didn't stick to landing.
Darth Douglas.
Uncle Darth.
Uncle Darth. So becoming a Jedi Knight differs depending on which sect you belong to. Some ascend based on levels of meditation and scholarship, some based on saber mastery. And some of the videos of them practicing their saber mastery are as sad as you think they are. Okay, most of the sects follow some basic and widespread doctrines, such as the Code, which is pretty universal among all the Jedi sects. And the Code is emotion yet peace, ignorance yet knowledge, passion yet serenity, chaos yet harmony, death yet the Force. There are also 3 tenets, which are focus, knowledge, and wisdom.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
It's a bit hokey,
Yeah.
but as we go through this stuff, it's not bad. It's,
Yeah, I mean...
it's harmless, and it's mostly good things to live by.
And if you get in a fight, you can just look the person right in the eye and say, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you could ever
And then
imagine.
you hit him on the elbow with your dowel, and they go, "Ow!"
Is part of saber mastery, by the way, is it doing the sounds? Like if you're really good, you go.
Well, I probably. And the kind of the technology, I'm using air quotes, of the lightsabers has gotten kind of great. They look pretty good.
Okay.
Anyway,
Don't get carried away, Doug.
There's also a creed, which I won't read much of, but it's derived from the prayer of St. Francis Assisi. And it says, I am a Jedi, an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I shall bring love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope, etc. And it keeps going. There are also 16 teachings and 21 maxims. And there's also 33 additional Jedi teachings to live by. We will not talk about them. But mostly, occasionally, they
religion is all fun and games till it gets real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most of it's pretty fluffy, and in some cases, it gets a bit wooey.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's totally sound things, ways to live a modern, healthy life.
You know that some of these guys have spent hours trying to make something come to their hand.
That was
for sure. For sure.
Without, yeah.
Those were all written by Darth Deepak.
Obi-Wan Chopra.
Yeah. But it's all pretty harmless and clearly written by people with the same kind of point of view as us. And most of this stuff exists on chat rooms. So this religion really, really exists online. Like there are some physical Jedi temples that are kind of meditation rooms and stuff, and then there's always them battling each other with lightsabers in the park.
There's that one in West Tampa that's really nice. The greater Tampa area.
But for example, there's this list of beliefs on the Temple of the Jedi Order is kind of the main vein of the Jedi religion. There's a bunch of different ones. But the most people that belong to the Jedi religion, organized religion, belong to the Jedi Temple. And amongst their list of beliefs are a couple I'll read because I think they're fine. Quote, Jedis believe in the sanctity of the human person. We oppose the use of torture and cruel or unusual punishment, including the death penalty. Great. Jedis believe in a society that does not discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation or circumstances of birth such as gender, ethnicity, or national origin. Fantastic.
Does this apply to droids, or is it just for humans?
I think that there's a huge amount of crossover with the Satanic Temple.
Yeah, right? Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And lastly, I'll just read this one. In the separation of religion and government and the freedom of speech, association, and expression. Great.
Okay.
There is scarce little talk in these Jedi sects about what might be the worst thing George Lucas has done. And I am including the Christmas special. And that is the midichlorians.
Yeah.
If you remember in episode 1, Lucas turned what was a universally accessible and unifying force into a viral infection.
Yeah.
Right, or almost a royal bloodline.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that suddenly there was an exclusivity to it where there had not been before.
That's right.
Yeah. Where a humble, farm boy and whatever wombat killer on Tatooine had as much access to it as Yoda.
That's what was so great about it.
Right.
We all could tap into
the universality of it.
Exactly.
Right. And even if it was stronger for certain people or whatever, like you could train it.
But it was about effort, and anyone could be a Jedi if you worked hard enough at it.
Right. Until George Lucas forgot what his own goddamn movies were about.
Exactly.
And ruined it for everybody. And all of you millennials that like the prequels are wrong, and shut your holes.
And should be ashamed of yourselves.
Just shut up.
Yes,
we know more than you do. Shut up.
Please watch Red Letter Media's
for sure.
reviews of the prequels, because your brain will break about how
it's worse than you think.
You thought they were bad, you missed a lot.
Wow.
Right?
So most Jedi sects choose to ignore the midichlorian thing, which is great.
Yeah.
If you're making up a religion and it's the official stance of this podcast that they're all made up,
right,
then get rid of the shit that doesn't work or that might be destructive. Like the Jedis just said, you know what? We don't like that. We're not going to include it. Good for them.
Yeah.
So
like all religions, they just ignore the parts that are inconvenient.
Yeah, but they just excised it. They didn't bother keeping it in their stupid holy books.
They're legit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Of course, various institutions around the world have met this movement with the full range of emotion from bemusement to outright hostility. The IRS granted the Temple of the Jedi Order tax-exempt status in 2015. And it's pretty funny that on the...
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going to do it for the Scientologists, fuck
exactly.
you.
Well, there's way more Jedis than Scientologists.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And
Mos Eisley.
Oh!
I don't know.
We're getting in the groove.
I'm feeling it. Yeah, I know.
The letter from the IRS is great. It's like the pro forma, you've been granted tax-exempt status, but it's addressed to the Order of the Jedi Temple. From the IRS. Yeah, it's great. However, in the UK, conservatives have fought hard to prevent it from achieving official status, obviously because it shines a bit of a light on the absurdity of state-sanctioned religions in the first place.
Yeah.
If you want a good laugh, there is a YouTube clip of two Jedis on, of all things, the Piers Morgan show, arguing with a Catholic woman who disputes that Jediism can be a religion. The hair-splitting she attempts to explain why Jediism cannot be a true religion while Catholicism can is something to behold. It's pretty great.
Well, that's when they should bring back the midichlorians.
Right.
Because there's just blood, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
We're both all about blood.
Yeah. So there is a movement in New Zealand and Australia to get people to not mark Jedi in the upcoming census because it is actually making both countries appear more religious than they really are.
Yes, I like it.
And this actually affects zoning and can possibly affect where restaurants, bars, and parks can be built.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
their hilarious monkey wrenching could actually really fuck shit up.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
And there's a couple little cases that I thought were hilarious because in 2007, a guy named Daniel Jones was ejected from a Tesco in England for not removing his hood.
From an airlock.
For not removing his...
He wouldn't take his hood off. In 2010, a man was tossed from a job center, for doing the same thing, proving the absurdity of religious garb and proving that Jediism is a very white religion.
Yeah,
Had those two people not been white.
They're both alive.
Exactly. So yeah, it exists mostly online. It's utterly decentralized. Mostly like the ceremony to become a Jedi Knight is done in a chat room, so you're sitting in your living room when you do it, and it's basically harmless.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, the other thing in the prequels that I found really galling about it was they seemed suddenly to become some sort of enforcement arm for trade.
Yeah,
and then there was the one where Yoda says, "Aim at the center of the ship." And they blow that giant round ship full of people up, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, first, where were you aiming before that?
Well, also, Yoda told you to kill all those people. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like the complete betrayal of what they were.
Yep.
Anyway.
So anyway, there's your Jedi movement.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, and something about the Force. And having it be with you.
Oh, don't forget, May 4th is the official holiday of the Jedi religion.
That's true.
Right.
May the 4th be with you.
That's right.
All right.
On that note...
religion's all stupid. Let's move on.